Hello. This is my gift to you. I saw some of the recent kind of Marvel-y stuff that has been occurring recently, and with my history on the Juice Box Office podcast, where surely there's like a way you can get a link or something to that in the description. I've been a pretty big Marvel fan for a long time. And I just think that there's this kind of weird sentiment around the entirety of just the franchise. I'm not even going to say cinematic universe because I think that's kind of just like a negative buzzword at this point. But I would definitely say that I think that there's a lot of weird discrepancies between how a lot of people look at it and how I look at it. So I figured what I would do is I would just kind of go through all of the movies and just kind of share my thoughts on each one. I wanted to just see how everything from past and present just kind of held up in my brain, at least. So this is all like with perspective to me. So if you don't like something, then write a really mean comment about it. I'd love to read it. Yeah, that's really about it. I think that we can just get started into this tier list maker because that is the language of everyone. Alright, so I'm here in this browser screen that I have every all MCU movies and series tier list maker. Now I'm not going to rank the series because there's a lot of them that I haven't seen, but they also have some of the old kind of Spiderman stuff. Okay, so we're starting with Phase 1, which starts with Iron Man. Now, Iron Man is a hero that a lot of people really like in the MCU, but back in the day, back in 2008, people didn't really care about Iron Man all that much, but it was an interesting, where is Iron Man, dude? Okay, here's Iron Man, right? So Iron Man is, a very good film. It holds up today. I'm gonna go ahead and I can't really think of too many issues with it. I think it's got like the humor. It was fresh for its time. So I'm just going to go ahead and we'll leave it in S tier for right now. I really think they're not all going to be S tier. But speaking of, the next one that we're going to go with is The Incredible Hulk. So The Incredible Hulk is a very good film. I think that it's very often overlooked. Granted, I'm like the person that saw it in like 2008 or 9, and that was when everything was green and everything was Hulk and everyone Hulk smashed like that. So I'm gonna go ahead. I think the top of B is probably as good as you can give it. It's really been dealt a bad hand. I really wish that Hulk was done a lot differently in the MCU, but next is Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 is it's pretty similar to Iron Man 1, but it really just is more of it, which I think makes it a pretty good, start to, something, whatever the MCU has become. I can't find Iron Man 2 on this list. There it is. These logos, man. So, Iron Man 2, it's pretty good. I can't say that it's bad or anything like that. I personally would not put it above Iron Man 1. Mainly is just the issue with, bards and all that stuff. So we're going to keep it at A. I don't want this to go on forever. Alright, what's up next? Thor. A lot of people like Chris Hemsworth because he is the character of Thor. But the character of Thor in the Thor the movie, I think I'm not as big of a fantasy nerd as I used to be, but if I were a fantasy nerd back in the day, I feel like still this movie was very underwhelming. So, is it offensive? No, I think that it's got some interesting stuff. Interestingly, it sets it up for a lot of what happens in the MCU and stuff like that, and kind of brings in the whole it's Thor, so they're all gonna come together and what are they gonna do, so all right. Captain America the First Avenger. Captain America is one of my favorite of the original Avengers, I would say. I would say probably this one. This one is definitely not perfect. I don't think it's for everyone. It can get a little slow at times, and you know, it they're like side characters that you think you're supposed to care about, but then like the movie thinks you care about, and you actually don't. And this is really more evident today more than back then. I think still it's probably an A-tier movie. I think that it's a good time. I wouldn't say that it's a must watch, but I think that if you like, Captain America, that it's a pretty good first outing. Speaking of first outings, we got the first Avengers. Where is the first Avengers at? I can't find it in this list. It's almost like they make too many of these. Here's the two. Oh, it's right here. Okay. Iconic box art, the Avengers. It took me a very long time to see this one, but I think that for its time, it did very well. But if you watch it again recently, it's aged good, but not well. It's not it still has a lot of things from its time. It's relatively simplistic. A lot of the spectacle is just wow, they're together and they don't all get along. There's a group dynamic here. It's still interesting enough. I'm gonna put it in A tier. I think it was a very big cinematic event, but when I think of my favorite Marvel movies, this one's usually in the back burner. Speaking of back burners, how do you top? Iron Man is the face of the early MCU, and you have Iron Man 3 here. This one was fine. This one was fine. I'm going to put it at the top of B. I can't really tell you much about it, which is kind of a bad kind of vibe to the whole thing, but it's okay. Things are allowed to be just okay. I think Iron Man 3, it's pretty good. It's not as good as the first two. That's kind of where we're at there. All right, next up, Thor: The Dark World. Thor: The Dark World is more of the worst parts of the first movie, except now there's red jelly that's supposed to be the Reality Stone. So, is this Thor: The Dark World? I think this is Thor: The Dark World. This is a D tier movie. It's not good. I don't really actually remember anything what happens in it. I think his mom dies, which is sad. But I mean, it's not terrible. D is still not failing. I don't think any of the movies fail, as I've always been they're movies. Worst case scenario, you just lose some hours of your life, and it's dang, I don't like it. But that might be a little bit of a rose tinted glasses kind of thing. All right, what's next? Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Now, this is a good movie. I would say that it's a pretty important movie, too, just for, the everything. And when I think of important movies, this is, action movie, really good. They're all really good. I would put this as an S tier movie. I don't think it goes above Iron Man, the first one, just because that was really kind of lightning in the bottle. It was Iron Man. But The Winter Soldier is a very good movie. And it leads up to another really great Marvel movie that we'll get to probably in a second. So there we go. All right, next up, we have Guardians of the Galaxy. The first one. I was really looking forward. I was whoa, they're doing space stuff, which that was really what Thor was supposed to be about, was the otherworldly stuff. But man, in space, Marvel movie in space, that seemed insane to me. So where the heck are the Guardians here? Okay, here they are. First one, right? I think this one did a pretty good job of just kind of showing what that could look like, and it kind of actually set the tone, I think, to a lot of the future otherworldly stuff. I don't think that people really remember Ronin that well. I don't really think I remember Ronin that well, mainly because we're misfits and we become a family, but it's still well written and it's a pretty funny movie. I'm gonna give it. Move this down here. I don't know. Sure, we'll put you right here, Avengers. There you go. It's probably like top of A, I would say. I don't think it reaches the threshold of must watch. Maybe it does, but we'll see. We'll see where everything else kind of falls, and we can ask where it should go. Avengers: Age of Ultron. So this is another movie that has a lot of people, and it's largely the same. The people that they added that made new, I think they were kind of misses at this point, and that's mainly because I think we were kind of getting to the point where we just wanted to see the Avengers again, except we can't really do that. It's like Floating City. All right, cool. Ultron's coming around. I like Ultron as a character, and I like the movie. I don't think the movie's bad. I'm going to put it's an Iron Man 3 tier. I think that's where it goes. I think it goes like what happened during Iron Man 3. I think that's where that goes. But I do acknowledge that a lot of the things set up for future stuff there's a surprising amount there. I just kind of wished it was a little bit more, as I think a lot of people said. The original Ant-Man. Good gravy. This was kind of a question mark at the time, but like it was good when you watched it. I think where I put it right there is pretty good. I like where they took the like tone of everything, and it explains a lot of the sciencey stuff. It kind of needed to happen, but it is Catman. Catman, what did you give Ant-Man? Ant-Man gets a B. That's where he gets. That's where he goes. Easy as that. End of phase 2 right there. Now we're heading to the start of phase 3. I think that when people look fondly in the MCU, they're usually just talking about phase 3. And then phase 4 was kind of a dud. But we'll get to that. Don't worry. So phase 3, Captain America Civil War, is still probably one of my favorite Marvel movies, at least of a single character. It's not really a single character. Even the, promo art of it shows it has a lovely guest. People will argue and tell me that this is not a Captain America movie. It is a Captain America movie, mainly because Captain America is still the protagonist and drives the plot forward. It's not a group effort or anything like that. I think that the philosophies and the battles kind of make sense, and it has the airport scene, which is pretty good. I watch this one pretty frequently. I give it an S tier. It's definitely a classic banger. And then I was very excited when I was in high school when I found out that Doctor Strange was getting a Marvel movie, because Doctor Strange is my favorite Marvel hero from the comics. Got super busted, finding orbs of Agamotto and all that stuff. So I think that I'm glad that Doctor Strange has kind of cemented himself. This movie, though, is Iron Man 3 tier, because I'll put it above Iron Man 3, because at least you have a meme about it. I think if your movie is a meme about it, and about what happens, because it's like, oh yeah, that's the one where he comes to bargain and turns back time, then I think that means that it's pretty good. It's pretty decent, because you can recall something that's relatively entertaining about it. So that's where that one probably goes, is top of B. It's pretty good. B is good. I don't think B is a bad thing. C is entertaining, and D is just, not my thing. But maybe someone else's thing, if they like seeing Chris Hemsworth with whatever. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. This one has I think this improves on the original Guardians of the Galaxy in almost every way. I don't think it strays too far. I think it was interesting that they gave some side characters some development, and then I think in this third one that's going to come out pretty soon, that they're going to expand on it even more. I think a lot of the time these movies are kind of seen as almost having trilogy development. It's not even like they're all interconnected. It's like the same titles or, like standard sequels and stuff like that. They're not really like episodes of a TV show. And then like the Avengers, when everyone comes together. I think that my expectations at least were kind of, gonna be that there was gonna be a little bit more to this, but I would say that it's probably just a better version of Guardians of the Galaxy. I would see this one over the original. I think it's just more interesting and captivating, and I think they got like a style going on. So I'm gonna put it at A tier. I think that it's a very good midpoint. I'm hoping that 3 can bring it home. So there you go. Spider-Man Homecoming. All right. So here's the elephant in the room. This is when we started getting Spider-Man in the mix. I have all the Sam Raimi ones, including Venom and stuff, so let's just go ahead and get all of the Spider-Mans out of the way. I really liked this movie at first, but because I think I see a trend, there is a trend with a lot of the Spider-Man movies in that he's always has a mentor figure that isn't, like Uncle Ben, and he's not like him learning things out on his own. I would say that Spider-Man Homecoming would probably be a good candidate, I think, for the B tier. I think it's a very nice to see the fresh take of it, but it's, it's right there. I think that The Amazing Spider-Man, let's just do them all. The Amazing Spider-Man 1, like here. Amazing Spider-Man 2, with Electro, I think it's his name. That one was a little bit more captivating. I think that, they're eels that bite a dude, and he turns into an electric guy. I think that's pretty cool. The Raimi trilogy, I'm going to put them at the end of S, but I think you can make some arguments here that a lot of them, at least these first two, are probably better than some other Marvel movies, but I don't really know if I compare them. And the third one is good. It's just, it's kind of a meme now, and it's pretty funny. It's pretty clear that there was some production constraints on that one. I think first Venom, Eddie Brock. I think first Venom I probably put here as well. And then I would put, is this the second one? Well, the one with Carnage, I probably put it like right here. It's okay. It's pretty good. It's just not, it's interesting, but it's also pretty predictable. Do I forget any other Spider-Mans that weren't the MCU? Okay. No, I think I'm good. Except for, not Miles Morales. The animated one. What's it called? What is it called? Why am I drawing the... It's because, there's like Into the Spider-Verse. It's because they all have different titles with like just one word being changed just to show that it's that thing. But, I mean, it's, Anyway. That one's that one's probably got... that one's giving Civil War a run for its money, I would say. I'm a big fan of animation. In case you wanted to know, Spider-Man opinions, there you go. There they all are. We can move on with just the MCU-based other stuff. So now we got Thor Ragnarok. This one is definitely... I can't put it above... I can put it above Thor. I definitely know that one for sure. I don't know... I'm going to keep the Spider-Mans together. I don't think that I could really put it above B. I think it's more up here. I would probably put it right here. I think that it's better than the Incredible Hulk, and I think this is when the Thor movies got, a little spark of something that was actually interesting. I think it took a lot of people by surprise that it did that. Okay. Next is Black Panther. Black Panther is a good movie. I think that it is doing a pretty good job of setting up the whole Wakanda thing, giving some backstory, because he did show up in, Winter Soldier, Civil War. Maybe it was just Civil War. I think he showed up in both. I don't remember. Anyway, no, the Winter Soldier blew up the thing, and that's where T'Challa came in. So anyway, Black Panther is pretty good. It's going up here. I'd probably put it right there. This is kind of like ordering. It looks about right. It's a pretty solid for an origin. Ending's a little lame, but I think that it's pretty cool when you see the protagonist struggle and stuff like that. So that is Black Panther. Now we hit a big one. We hit Avengers Infinity War, which this is Infinity War. I'm not going to lie, it's probably my favorite. I think that it was very amazing how they could balance things and bring it all together to a point where it's still long, but it feels like everyone's there for a decent reason or a good reason. And it created a lot of great combinations. I think that when everyone was looking at all these other Marvel movies and everything was starting to come together, that was like, whoa, this is pretty big. This is good. Really good. Then Thanos is, big bad guy, and he was super strong. So yeah, I think that, Avengers Infinity War is probably the best Marvel movie, in my opinion. But we'll get to that, and we'll see if my mind changes and stuff like that. Okay, yes, I just now confirmed that I had the right Spider-Man, but we're not there yet. Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'm an Ant-Man stan. I like Ant-Man, and I like Ant-Man and the Wasp. It's definitely better than the original Ant-Man, but in the end of the day, there's just something weird where it doesn't seem like he's hit his full potential. Ant-Man's better up here in Infinity War than he is in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I think a lot of people liked Ant-Man and the Wasp because it was the movie, that came after Infinity War. I think that it's probably okay here. I'm starting to think that maybe no, it's probably I'd probably put it here. It's probably better than Avengers: Age of Ultron. And Ant-Man here is probably here too. There you go. Captain Marvel. I was kind of surprised by this one. I think it's always good to see more of the space stuff, which is kind of something that I'm more interested in when I see a Marvel movie. So, fact of the matter is that it's pretty solid. I like it. I'm gonna give it. I think here it's one of the it's a good origin story. They kind of get it together. It's pretty faithful to the character. The problem is I think that's probably the best interpretation of Captain Marvel, because at some point she just becomes where are you at ? You're the powerhouse, and you're not ever here because of reasons. But yeah, I think that when you're actually following around, it's pretty interesting. I think that that's good. I feel like there's a discrepancy here. No. I feel like a lot of these B tier movies are really up in A, but I think I'm going to leave them for now. Yeah. Okay. Avengers Endgame. This is another big one. I would probably put it second. I think a lot of people again, it's the same kind of event. I'm surprised it came so close together, but I think, the Infinity War used to just be one big movie, but then that turned into a big movie to the point where they had to basically split it up into two, and then they could actually do all the stuff they wanted to. I don't think I would sit through two of them, so I guess it's pretty good they split it up. This one's pretty cool. Again, I like Ant-Man a lot, and he's better in this movie than he is in his own, stuff. But I think it's fun. I think it's a great movie. I don't think you need to tell me why it's sold like a bajillion, like, views, copies, streams, whatever. Spider-Man Far From Home. This movie's forgettable. It's not bad. It's just not like, I think it's like, oh yeah, he's in like Italy and England and there's like Spider Monkey, but I don't think a lot of other people actually like know or remember that. And he's fighting over glasses. So, I think that's interesting. Mysterio's a really cool villain, and villains are a lot of the movie, but I think in the end, it's pretty predictable. There's a lot of cool set pieces, and then I think that that's kind of dipping into a little bit as to why I think that future movies are suffering a little bit. But we'll see. Next one is Black Widow. I put it. Okay, hold on. Thor is not this high. We're gonna put this stuff here because at least I would probably be okay with watching Black Widow again. Yelena's cool. They introduced a lot of cool characters that are gonna come in the Thunderbolts. So it was fun. It went into a little bit more into that backstory finally after what was it, like 8 years, really, since Iron Man 2, because that was when Black Widow was really a bigger character. So I'm glad that she got her own thing. It's pretty good. It's not the best. I probably wouldn't be okay if I never had to watch it again or anything like that, but that's why it's in C tier. Shang-Chi. See, this is interesting because, we had the two kind of C-tier movies in a row, and it was after Endgame. I think this is when a lot of people started falling off. They're like, man, Spider-Man was only okay. Black Widow, granted, COVID did a lot of stuff for that. Shang-Chi was a pretty big revitalizer, and I would agree with that. I think Shang-Chi's probably here. It's probably here. You know what? We're going to move this up. You get graduated. Now this is a lot more coherent. I'm actually gonna bump Doctor Strange up. His is like here. You're here. All right, bumped up the origins a little bit, but Shang-Chi is very good. I think again, it's just really the same thing as Black Panther. They have very similar issues in that it's that the ending pretty much defines the whole movie, and almost Doctor Strange is the same way. And so for that, I think Doctor Strange is gonna go up here because at least the ending is kind of memorable. This is like a giant black tornado vortex thing. And this was like, they went to like Space Jam land, Everything's like bright and purple and stuff. So I think that's a good spot for Shang-Chi, is like low A. I'm liking this a little bit more. I'm going to bring Ant-Man up in A tier. Ant-Man and the Wasp. This is looking pretty good now. All right, Eternals. This is the point where I started looking at these a little bit more critically. I started the Juice Box Office podcast with my friend Duncan. For Eternals, I believe, was our first movie. And I was pretty excited for the Eternals. I didn't really like how fancy it looked. And I think that kind of hurt it a lot. It tried to be more dramatic for sure. But I think it's an interesting kind of way. They're going to start getting into timelines, so they kind of wanted to see, like, okay, well, what were there like superheroes in the past and all that stuff, and you're kind of getting more into like history. It's a lot more than just Captain America in World War II used to beat up Nazis all day. So I think that it's a pretty deep movie. I believe we gave that one a recommend, despite criticism, and I think it's still the lowest rated Marvel movie. I can't really fault it. I think that it's, yeah, I put it I think that I'm going to put it in A tier because I'm just kind of excited to see what'll go next. It's been like 2 years since that movie came out, and I think that we just kind of want to see more. There's a giant like thing that happens in this movie and nothing is explained yet. Which I think is another big issue with like Phase 4 because it seems very when is all this stuff happening? But that's mainly because the Avengers got you to think like how is everything connected? And really in reality, these are just all like, oh, we're all hanging out one day until suddenly poof, this pops up and now we're all here. So I don't think it's the fault of the movie if they're not thinking about that stuff all the time. Sometimes you kind of have to write it off, but it's a little bit hard to. So I can understand why other people probably put it in B or C tier, but I personally enjoyed it a good amount. It was pretty fresh. I like seeing like everyone has like is really good at one thing and they're like a team. So team dynamics are pretty neat. No Way Home. I think this is a good high point for a lot of people. I mean, at this point, right, you got Black Widow was meh. Shang-Chi was like, it's okay. Eternals was like meh. You had Far From Home, which was meh. So then they looked at No Way Home. They're like, oh my gosh, dude, this movie's awesome. And I agree. I think I'm comfortable putting this one in the S tier. I got you, didn't I? I thought you were like, well, this one's actually not really as good. It's just as good as like all the other ones. No. I think there's a good reason why a lot of people paid attention to it. It's a pretty big homage to this and this. Mainly the second one. The first one was like I don't remember much about that one. I just know it wasn't that good, and I did see it. So that's kind of saying something, especially because I can recall a lot of this stuff for some reason. So yeah, that is No Way Home. I think it's pretty easy to explain, like pretty simple. It starts dealing with more multiversey stuff, which I think is what a lot of people were looking for now that these two things came out. Gotta put them in the right order. There you go. And it kind of did that a little bit, and it had Doctor Strange in it, which never hurts. Speaking of Doctor Strange, we have Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness. I liked this movie when it first came out. But I think I can only put it here now. It really didn't do a good job. It has the word multiverse in it. It has the Scarlet Witch in it, which is, again, probably the best part of the movie. Although I still like Doctor Strange and all that stuff. And Wong, so that was pretty good. This is like the Guardians 2 of Doctor Strange movies. Yeah, I'm going to put it there. I think that's where it should live. It hand waves a lot of stuff, and the alternate dimension they go to is like, oh, this is really just like things are just weird here. Even though they touched on the whole like multiverse is crazy, but Everything Everywhere All at Once came out like around the same time as this, and it really kind of shoved it in its face that like the multiverse could be a very like interesting plot device, and this movie did not take advantage of it at all. They could have just went to like Russia and everything could have happened the same way. So, that's that. Next is, I believe, Thor: Love and Thunder. It goes here. As you go in through time, there's a little bit fewer things that are reaching the top. The ones that do are generally pretty good. I think the more recent ones kind of hit better for me. Thor: Love and Thunder it was a swing and a miss. If I'm putting Spider-Man 2, The Amazing Spider-Man, I think it can go up here. I put it right there though, just at the bottom. It's like a B minus, I believe. So we are nearing the end here. We only got 2 more to go for to date. So we got Black Panther and Wakanda Forever. Yeah, Wakanda Forever is pretty good. I'd say captivated me more than the Eternals, more than Captain Marvel. I think that's where it stops. No, there's some cool stuff that happens. I think we go right there. It's a decent movie. It's pretty good. I would see it. I think that A tier is a good. I would show this to somebody and it would probably entertain them if they just like watching Captain America smack people. Or Iron Man smack people. Don't worry, guys. I'll be nice to the kitty. I see your comments in advance. So anyway, last one, and I literally just like saw this, which is what inspired this video, is Quantumania. A lot of people are putting it here. I don't know what those people are smoking, dude. This movie just didn't feel very Marvel to me. I mean, I can understand like the MCU like syndrome where like things like got him, or like room for one more, or like he's next to the bad guy and he's like, oh, you have bad breath or something like that. That never happens in Quantumania. I feel like all the characters are being genuine. I'm almost wondering if I'm seeing the same movie as some people. CGI, not the best. I have some recollection of like the Star Wars prequels when I see this movie, especially like when they're just exploring the quantum verse. I don't even know, quantum realm. That's what it's called. So there's a lot of like things to take in, and some shots look kind of weird, especially when it's like giant Ant-Man's on the screne and like there's Cassie who's still like in live action and she's clearly running away from like CGI thing. There's a lot of CGI in it, and I think that turns people off. But really, honestly, I'm thinking this is like up here. Yeah, I think it's probably right there. I don't think that's too inoffensive for it. It has faults, for sure. But it's very entertaining, and it didn't end how I thought it would. I really thought that, some other stuff was going to happen. But, that's really it. So that's it. That's the full list. Is there anything that I would change? I think that it's ordered for the most part. Guardians might be a little high. No, I'd probably put in there. They're pretty cool. I think that, yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp is an A tier, and I think the original Ant-Man should probably just stay in B tier. I don't really think I'd change anything. So if you were ever curious as to what my opinion is, then this is the one. Now we can go ahead and view the community ranks real quick, just to see. I don't think that mine's going to be very similar to this. Yeah, okay, I'm glad that we got this and we got this. Okay, like S and A are going a little bit. I think the first discrepancy is probably Thor Ragnarok. On mine was like B, and I think here it's S. But you can see that there's a good amount of division here. Mine was pretty top heavy, and a lot of people, granted these are a lot of shows, and I think that a lot of shows probably go down there too. Wakanda Forever is in D. Quantumania is in D. I don't understand, like, there's no like Iron Man talk or like quippy lines or anything like that. I think that it's pretty interesting. I just think that I think the main thing is that people didn't like seeing this because it was the one after Infinity War and it wasn't as good because it wasn't going to be as good. There's just no way. And then this is pretty obscure and it came out a long time ago, and Quantumania kind of is still a continuation of that trilogy, so I think that doesn't set it up very well. But I thought it was very entertaining. Another, just real quick, Doctor Strange in S tier, sure. Black Panther S tier, sure. Is this Homecoming? The main thing is that I'm glad that it sets up the whole, like, it's Peter Parker with a role model. And the first one's Iron Man, the second one's Mysterio, and the third one's Doctor Strange. I think that that's a neat concept. They go a little bit too hard with it, though. Guardians 2, No Way Home, First Avenger. Wow, really? Far From Home is that high. How many people like made this? Age of Ultron is here. It's good, but bet you didn't see that one coming, huh? Ant-Man's A. Okay, you got some shows up here. Ant-Man, Loki. These are probably where I put him. Iron Man 3. Iron Man 2. Iron Man 3 is above Iron Man 2. I mean, that's probably okay. I don't know how Thor is A. Thor is pretty okay. I'll give him that one. I'll put Thor. I think Thor's like probably right here. But then I feel like no, yeah, I think I put Thor there. Thor gets B, and that's it. Black Widow's in A. I don't believe. Don't look at that list. It's just dumb. I don't understand. Especially like look at this. Who you gonna trust? Who you gonna trust? I think you're gonna trust me. So that's it. Correct opinions only. If you disagree with anything on this list, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I might do more stuff like this, but that's only because this is like babies content and like it's fun, and I can make fun of people, and other people will make fun of me. So that's it. Enjoy. So we'll see if we do that one or not. There's currently a cat attacking me, so I'm gonna give him a quick spritzy spritzy. There you go. We're going. Anyways.